Recording now, it's okay. Fine. So if you miss, then you can watch the recording. No issues. Okay, let me come to collab. I'll be sharing this also, so you can have a look later also. So this is what we started with, but that's okay. Now, what is artificial intelligence? I already told you something that is not natural, human, done by the computer is artificial intelligence, right? Or we call it in shortcut AI. Okay. Now, it is nothing new. It's been for ages, almost 50 years, more than 50 years rather. So since the development of the computers, we are having AI. The thought process of making computer a thinking machine similar to a human action, but it is very close, not close, but yes, it is close now. Human always give you surprises. Okay. So anyway, this is I will not be taking all the theory parts here. I'll be giving you the notes also, but what is required I'm giving you, because as per the syllabus you have to cover this also. So I have no option but to take the theory also a little bit, but not everything. But whatever is required has to be explained, will be explained. Right? Okay. So quality of life. We say that AI will have a significant role in the quality of life. Now, when I say that, it is like if I know if I'm looking for something, let's go to Google Map. Okay, so the Google Map actually has the location and all everything. It has the data. It has. It may not be having the current data, as it is not allowed in some countries like India. So exact data may not be there. The satellite may not be looking at you all the time, but the sensor tells you where you are going, right? Your sensor is there. Now, there is nothing AI as such in this, right? All is communication. So when we say AI, actually it includes a lot of things integrated together. We have the communication, we have image processing, we have lot more things, right? So everything has to be integrated to make things work. So I was talking about Google Map. Google Map actually, or any map for that sake, it's not only that you use Google Map, you can use any other map also, and it is tracking your vehicle which is going, and it gives you suggestions based on the traffic conditions, right? Now that is where AI comes into play, because as far as going is concerned, it can tell you the direction. Okay, fine, this is the direction, this is the path you have to follow, because it is already there, it is already feeded. But once it finds the traffic, it calculates your speed also, and the speed of the traffic, moving traffic, and tells you that how many hours or minutes extra you have to spend if you go take that route or you take an alternate route. Now, that is where AI comes into practice. Okay, it comes into picture. So yes, it can ease your life, but it can be disastrous also, as perceived by many people. So if we have humanoids or human computers, thinking machines, if they don't have any emotions in them, then they can be dangerous, right? So we need emotions also. So people are working on that emotional systems they are developing, and that is required. Okay, so that is one part of AI, and let's see some more things here. So let me. I've actually created my notes are there, so I'll just put it from there. What is intelligence? So let's see what is intelligence. And how it had to be there, but it's not. Let me correct it. If I'm not audible, let me know. I don't have a habit of speaking loudly. Okay, but I can be. So what is intelligence? Let's see. I'll just put it here. I'll be sharing this collab sheet and the notebook and the PDF also of the notes. So if you are not able to log in to collab, you can download the PDF also. The PDF will be there, and all the collab notebooks will be in a GitHub repository, which I'll share with you. Okay. Why I'm putting here? Because this is all theory, but I want to make it something like permanent thing you can have whenever you want to. So it's not that it's maybe wiped out or something. So I normally use for even text also. Okay, so what is intelligence? Intelligence is calculating, reasoning, perceiving a relationship and analogies from your learning experience. You can say a lot of things are there, retrieving information, solving problems, then comprehending complex ideas, then using language naturally, fluently, then classify, generalize, adapt to the situations and the capabilities of the system. That is intelligence. That is what humans are able to, Let me give you an example. Suppose I look at the trees. Now, when I look at the trees, I can actually immediately classify that there are different varieties of trees. I may not be knowing the names, the biological names, or even the names, general names of the trees, but I know that they are different and I can easily classify. Now, trees might be a little difficult to classify. Let's come back to the office where we have furniture, the class, where we have the furniture. Easy to classify. I know what is what, right? It is so easy for us to classify something which actually may not be that easy for a computer to classify. Very simple, right? Why it is difficult? Because my system works on digits, numbers, binaries, 0, 1. Either it is true or false. That is what the computer has been trained for, right? It works on binary. It works on binary system, 0, 1, right? But the 0, 1 can do wonders also. We can feed the data. We can make it intelligent, and we can make it work like a human being. Okay, so that is what the programmers of AI have to do to make the system intelligent. Okay, and how we are going to make it? Before that, we have to understand the intelligence is okay, but we have to understand a few more things, that type of intelligence we have. So if I understand these things, I can actually understand what my computer can do, right? Okay. So we have types, and I'll give you one by one. The theoretical part I normally skip, so I'll just put the things there. First is linguistic. This is linguistic learning or intelligence, you can say. What is linguistic? It is the capability to communicate, right? So what it needs, the grammar, syntax, meanings, speech, sound, everything it requires. Okay, now there's something like speech, sound, syntax, grammar, and there's one missing. Okay, that's okay. Phonology is your speech only. So if my computer, like you have worked on, you must have used Alexa or Siri many times. They respond to your sentences, your commands, how they respond to your commands. Now, let me tell you how they work. When I speak, my speech goes to the system, convert it into text and convert it into binaries. You can say machine learning type by data has to be converted into numbers. Every data has to be converted into number for a machine to understand. Whether it is text, audio, video, whatever it is, it has to be converted into numbers. Whether you are using deep learning, you are using cognitive learning, you are using machine learning, whatever learning you're using, the system understands digits, right? So when I give a command to Siri or Alexa or something else, what it does, it converts it into numbers. My speech data is converted into numbers, and then it looks for the related text, or and then searches for you the required things and gives you the result. Now, for this to understand, it is very simple. I can simply convert it into numbers, texts, and that data is also into numbers. So you can easily fetch, or even if I don't convert to numbers, even if I convert in only speech to text, it can easily search the text which is already stored in the repository, in its database. When I say repository, that means database. So what database it is already there, so it can easily fetch. So it doesn't have actually to convert it into anything. Numbers also it doesn't require. But when I make it, I want to make it intelligent. There's a simple search. This query. It's a query whether it is audio or whether it is a text, but it is a query only. A simple query can be fetched, right? So even in on Google, we just type the text. We don't normally use the voice. We can use voice there. We can use the images there. We can use the videos there. We can use lot of things to search on Google also. So that is not something. It is just a query, and query is what Alexa and Siri and likes are doing. Okay. Okay. Now, when it comes to linguistic part, that is more with the natural language processing. That is what we can say the NLP. The shortcut is NLP. That is natural language processing. Interestingly, India has more than 4,000 languages. They have been reduced actually. And when we say reduced, it was more than 11,000 languages we had in India. Dialects, basically, languages and dialects. India is a vast country and vast languages. We have different regions, different languages, and understanding that is a challenge, right? So when I say in a command, if I give a command in my native language, my Siri or Alexa will not be able to understand unless it has the data with it, right? So it has to understand the data also, and then it has to understand the linguistics also, how the language is organized. If it can't, it won't be able to do anything, right? But it is not giving you any option outputs as such. But then you must have seen the bots these days. Bots can be audio bots, or it can be textual bots. We Even if I use Bing, it gives me a lot of options when I just search. So the bot pops up and tells you, okay, can I help you? So some companies are using audio bots also, especially medical companies. And I'm also working on one of the bots for a research project where we have to develop for medical purpose. Right now, that is the place where linguistic is required. As I said, India is a vast. country, lot of languages are there. Even if you go by the constitution, we have 18 languages, which are the official languages. But even 18 is a big deal, because we know that all the development is done on English basically, or Russian, Japanese, German. These are the people developing the things. India is also developing. That is not a thing that India is not. India is developing in, more or less on the native languages, right? So we are also working on native languages. But then understand the concept. Why we want to understand the linguistic or the formation of a language? For a very simple reason. I'll give you a sentence, and you will understand why I want to understand the organization of the languages, how the linguistic works. Okay, you know, in English we have the subject and the object, right? When I say in English, I am going to the market, I subject, market is the object, right? And in between is the predicate. That we know. So we are not taking any English class, but we have to understand the linguistics also. And why? Reason I'll give you. Now in Hindi, if I say I am going to the market, in Hindi I will say मैं बाजार जा रहा हूँ. That is subject and object साथ में आ गए. They have come together, right? So that is what my system should be able to identify in NLP. That is in natural language processing. It has to identify this. And why we need this? Because we have to get the emotions from that. And emotion is very important these days. And as I said, if I want to make my computer, my robot intelligent, I have to make it understand things, right? It may be in any language. It may be Russian, it may be German, it may be Kannada, it may be Odia, it may be Marathi, it may be any language, Indian Hindi language, or any Telugu, Tamil, whatever. And interestingly, as of now, our NLP or our intelligent systems support 200 languages. So we have 200 languages already there, and they, I think, are more than enough as of now, right? So to understand the state of mind, it is very important in the field of medical science, or even when you say in uh, criminology, when you are detecting a crime and someone speaks and you want to detect whether the person is lying or telling the truth, then NLP comes into play, AI comes into play, because it doesn't have emotions as such. It will tell you what is what. A spade is going to tell you, okay, this is what the person is trying to tell you, and it may not be right. He's trying to deceive you. So it can tell you. Also, it can help the cops to identify the person, the personality of a person from the audio. Now, it is not limited to audio. It may be video, okay, or it may be image also. I have worked in on all of them, on the audios, on the videos, and the text. So getting the emotions from them, it's easy, not very difficult, because algorithms are there, but you need to get to understand the as far as audio is concerned, you have to understand the linguistics. There, you have to understand that what is going on and what they're up to, right? Okay. So this is linguistic. You are understanding the grammar, the syntax, everything you have to understand, and then only you can actually make some sense out of what the person is trying to say, or what the mood of the person is. So mood of the person is also required, you know. Now we have, interestingly, the musical intelligence also. Other one is musical. Okay. Now, rhyme is the best way of communicating sometimes to learning. To learn a language, if you remember, you were taught rhymes when you were kids, small kids. The first thing, even if you are not able to speak, you are taught rhymes because it is easy to learn, right? And more interesting than the plain words or the sentences or long sentences. So every child must have learned poems, recited poems, and then only must have grown. So the other intelligence is your musical intelligence, right? My computer can also do that. I can make it understand through the music also. Then a logical reasoning. Right? This is actually the most important part. We all have logics. Without logic, it is difficult to understand the things. What is what, and that is required. So the idea to understand the complexity of a situation, of a thing, we should have the logics. Okay. So from the logic, it doesn't mean that you have to code or do something. We are using logic every day, everywhere, right? And since we have to make the computer like human being, so it should also have the logical ability. It has the computational ability, definitely, but I'm talking about the logical ability. It can compute, and based on the computation, based on the algorithms, it can find the logic in the things, but there are certain things where the situation demands your logic to come out of the situation, because computer would be having only things which are trained, which is it is trained for. If I train my robot to do some particular things, you read the news and all, it will be able to do the reading part. If it can drive also. So whatever I train my robot or my machine, it will do. Absolutely no issues. But if a situation comes which it is not trained for, then the logical part is required. That is what is there with the human being. We use the logic every day to identify the people also, the nature of the people, type of people. We use logic everywhere. Buying the clothes, selling the clothes. You can sell the clothes also. Your bags, handbags. These days, bags can also be sold depending on the brand you purchase. Right? So it can be auctioned and all. Anyway, so the logic is something required, and it is important also. So most of the time when we say logic, we talk about the mathematicians and the scientists, statisticians who use the logic, but it is actually not the full truth. Everyone uses logic. Who has a brain uses a logic, right? So logic is everywhere. You can see that. Apply logic everywhere. So now comes. Let me correct it. I pressed it twice. Okay. Oh, oh. This I'll do it again. Let me do it properly. I have a habit of doing all this nonsense actually. Making the thing bold and all. It looks cleaner to me. Okay, now what is spatial? That is, it is an ability of a human being or an intelligent machine to get the visual information. Spatial, when we say spatial information, is the temporal, that is the time space or the space. Spatio-temporal information we talk about when we talk about in the context of the computers. or machines or human being also. Spatial is the space, and temporal time stamp. Time is important. So the ability to get the information and 3D objects, construct the 3D objects, and ability to rotate and see. We already have that ability. So what our computer has, or we have to train our computer to do such things. So we can see in the application, if we say we have the map readers, astronauts, physicists who use this ability, because if I look at the cells, I have to see it from everywhere, right? Like I can tell you, I've recently given a paper on COVID-19, that is to detect early detection of COVID-19 through X-ray images. Now, what I need for that, I have to actually understand the virus first. And to see the virus, I have to actually rotate, see, twist. That is fortunately available on the net also. All the angles and all, everything is available. You can go deep into it also and see. That is what we talk about, the spatial, right? So information from all the directions, up, down, 360 degrees. It is not even 360 degrees, it is 480 degrees, you can say. 480, yeah, 120 degrees is the rotation. It is 480 degrees. So if you have the ability, your system has the ability, then it will be very close to human intelligence, right? So we have a few things. Now we have already linguistic, musical, logical, spatial. Then we have kinetic also, bodily, kinesthetic, both as well. Kinesthetic, and let me make it word. As a habit, I'll do it. Okay. Now, we have seen the players and the dancers. They use this ability. This is the ability to solve the problems or fashion products, control, you can say, fine course, motor skills, and manipulate the objects. When we say motor, actually, it is not the motor we talk about in the mechanical engineering. We are talking about the nerves. Motor nerves are very important part of the body. Now, if they stop functioning, you cannot actually move at all. And people suffering from motor neuron disease, their body starts shrinking, and there is no cure for it. As of now, we do not have any cure for motor neuron disease. The body starts shrinking, and slowly it may start from the top or start from the bottom. Starts if it starts from the bottom, you have more time to survive. But if it starts from the top, then sooner or later one person has to go. Unfortunately, we do not have any cure for it as of now, right? So your motor nerves, motor skills, that is ability to move around your hands. Like a dancer can move better, a belly dancer can move better than what we can, or a player can may be more flexible than what we are. And I'll give you an example now here, how you are going to relate this with your robot or with your human, with your computer intelligence. Now, this interestingly, if you search on the net, you'll find that we have prosthetic legs. And the person who gave or was a part of the team in IIT Delhi, he was my student actually, and we designed the first part here in the rhythm. The first part, the logical part, the reasoning part, we use neural networks to design the prosthetic leg. Now, the prosthetic leg actually works on your motor movement of your leg. Now, suppose a person loses a left leg, then how the right leg moves or how the left and right are synchronized, that is very important, right? And for that, you need to understand the motor movement. So what if I move my right leg forward, then what my left leg has to do? And that is where the prosthetic leg, that is the computerized leg or the automatic leg, works. This is how it works. And that is how we are going to work with the robots also. We have to understand, it is very interesting that our body is so complicated, looks so easy, we take it for granted, but it is not. It is not for granted. When you design a robot, you will understand that how difficult it is. You cannot just move the legs just like that, it will fall down. You cannot move the hands just like that. They're all synced. Your motor nerves, they come into action. So that is also intelligence which is required. Right? So we have today prosthetic legs, we have prosthetic eyes, and people are working on artificial heart, lungs, every part of the body, and they're successful also. But still, we have a few more hurdles to cross, few more testings have to be done, and then we definitely can have the things working, and it may be possible someday that body parts may be replaced by the computerized parts, right? It is possible. May not be today, but yes, hands, definitely prosthetic hands we have, prosthetic legs we have, prosthetic eyes we have. These three, I know. And in one of that, prosthetic legs, I could do some part of coding and help my student, and he's in IT and he's doing very well. He has done his PhD now, and he's still there in IIT doing some research work, and that's interesting. Okay, so we have the motors, and then the other skill we have is the interpersonal ability of human being. That is to interact with the other people also, right? So intention, motivation, feeling, that is intrapersonal skills we have. Identify what the person is thinking, identify how the mood of the person is, identify the need of the person. These abilities are there with us. These are called intrapersonal skills, or the communication we have, interpersonal communication also. Communication is also there. We are very good at that also. Uh, that is required. And then we have that is intrapersonal. Then we have interpersonal also. Interpersonal skills, inter is internal, inter is one. Let me make it more down. So intra is like we have intranet. Network is internal. That is retrospecting, you can say. Interpersonal, intrapersonal. Sorry, intrapersonal is it's retrospecting, the first one. Uh, about yourself, that is the intentions and all, and motivations, the feelings, that is internal to oneself. And interpersonal is, sorry, the interpersonal is with identify the emotions, the feelings of the other people, so intentions also. So that is your interpersonal, that is the skills. These are used in mostly on in the interviews, and the HR who comes is very intelligent actually. They are trained to understand the intentions and the beliefs of a person, feelings also they can understand. So you have actually, when you walk in an interview for an interview, from the time you actually walk in and sit, you have 16 seconds where the HR judges you. 16 seconds are enough for an HR to judge you. When you try to fake whatever you try to fake, you cannot fake an HR, a trained HR rather. Okay, they know what they're doing, and they can understand because they have the interpersonal skills. They can understand what you are trying to say or what you are capable of. The first thing in an organization, an HR is looking actually for a person who can learn, who can adapt, and who can stay, because it is an investment of the company also, the individual, right? So this interpersonal skill is required, and if my computer can also do that, good enough. So we can see here. Oh, I had to write what it has gone work. So intelligence, type of intelligence: linguistic, musical, logical, spatial, body kinesthetic, then intrapersonal and interpersonal skills, right? So that is what we have. Now let's see. So interestingly, we all have such abilities, and it's not necessary that only all the abilities are there in a person. Maybe like linguistically, a person can be strong, logically, person can be strong, right? Or whatever way. But it may be a combination of all. Like we say, jack of all, chicken. So a person can be jack of all, can be having a lot of abilities. But in my computer system, if my system has one of these abilities, I will call it an intelligent system. Okay, only one will be enough to qualify it as an intelligent, artificial intelligent system, right? Okay, so let's continue. Okay, theory is I'm trying to make it interesting, but I don't seriously. I don't like theory. But this is interesting because it is related with intelligence, and it is related with computer intelligence, and why we need this theory. We always thought that the computer is something which is practical, and we always think so. But understanding the concepts is required to understand the coding also. It is actually interrelated. I'll be taking the coding most of the time. I'll be taking the coding only, but this introduction is required because if you understand what human composition is, what intelligence is, you can always understand and then relate the things. Otherwise, why I will be thinking why I'm coding this, why I'm doing this, why I should be doing this. It is not required. I can do it without it also. You can do a lot of things without coding, definitely. You don't have to. These just things are already there. Fortunately, you guys uh, have the intelligent machines already, and you have these days the tools, BI tools. We have business intelligence tools. We have then we have other tools also, which just require the data, and it will give you the results. How it is working, you may not be knowing it, and it is not required in some cases also. But if you want some good output, then you have to understand what is going behind it, because if you cannot feed good data into a system, then the output will be disastrous, right? Because our computer works on gig को garbage in garbage out, कूड़ा डालोगे तो कूड़ा ही मिलेगा और कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, right? But anyway, you are fortunate. We were not that fortunate when we started 29 years back. When I started computers, it was very slow, and we had to program everything, and no options. But then it has grown a lot in these like last 29 years. It has grown up and it is growing every day. So it happens like, suppose if we are doing Python, so we can do AI using Python, AI or R also, or MATLAB also. I have worked on almost all the languages, so language is not a barrier for me. And but anyway, we are using Python here, so we'll be using Python only. But as I told you, it has grown up, and every day it is growing. The only problem we face is when we run a code today, and if I run a code, the same code rather, a few months after a few months, it may not work because the module may have been updated. So it will tell you, it will give you a warning, or it will tell you, okay, this is done and this is what has to be done. You cannot do much about it, but you have to change. So fortunately, we have Google Baba, and a lot of people use it to search the errors, and it is not bad also, because you will not find it in the books. You will not find it on the books. Some people who have faced the problem, they will be putting it and tell you, okay, fine, this is what we found, and this is how we resolve the issue. Or you can join some forum, and then there you can discuss. There are a lot of forums also where you can discuss your problems. I'm not talking about the computers only. I'm talking about any uh, problem related with your subjects, or any other issue also. So you can have the forums and you can discuss there. But books will tell you what is to be done and how it is to be done. But if you look at the books, even of the Python, you'll find that since Python 3 plus has come, the commands which were used before that, even for the print command, like I tell you, and written it here, Upar, print, yeah. You can see that it is in brackets and quotes. Earlier, there were no brackets. In Python 2 and before, there were no brackets. And if you try to run the code of the book, even if you Google, you find the same code. So you will not be able to run the code. All you have to do is change the syntax a little bit and run it. Right? So as long as you know the concept, syntax is not a big deal. Syntax is just the way of writing or composing a thing. Like when you're writing a text, just you should know how it has to be composed. Like if you're writing an essay, you should know how it has to be written. You have to actually balance your text, right? So that is what computer language is all about. It's very, very simple actually. It is actually one of the easiest thing on earth. Coding is one of the easiest thing on earth actually, because it just requires a little bit of logic which you use every day. You're using it, right? All you have to do is you should know the syntax, and for syntax you have the books, right? And if you can't find it in the book, then you have to search on a search engine. You can use Google or whatever you want to use, and you can search. And when you're joining a course, definitely you will be learning things. But that is not the end of it. I can tell you that. Whatever I'm going to teach will be maximum possible, right? Within the time frame we have, and the course content we have will be there. But that is not the end. Like we have the modules, right? I will come to composition of intelligence, but since a lot of theory has already gone, so I'm just telling you few things which are required in the future classes. The labs, definitely we are going to have the practical types, and I'll be using all most of the time practicals. I have not, not in a habit of making the slides. I do not like slides actually, so I prefer to have the collab version or something like that, and I try to type it or paste it here. If the notes are there, I will be pasting it here. So I would like to do that, and it's more interactive actually. For the last 28 years, I've understood that I have to go down to the level of the students, make them understand. And for that, I can request you to tell me if I go too high, tell me. If I go too low, tell me. If I'm in between, tell me. I can change myself to any level, right? Because I have students and I am a researcher. So I have students across the world. I have from UK, I have from Singapore, I have from other countries also, and India definitely, all over India. And my students are working in almost every field, in a very big organization, right? So that is not a big deal. I can come down to any level. So just have to be very frank. Yeah, I did not understand. I don't understand the way you did. Okay, I'll change myself. No issues. Not a big deal. No egos. At this age, we don't have any egos actually, right? Anyway, okay, coming back to intelligence and what we are going to do. So we are going to make it more practical so that you can understand. That is what I always think. So I'm trying to relate actually whatever theory I'm giving you. I'm trying to relate it with the practical part of it, right? So you can design the things, you can design your motors, and interestingly, I don't know you have worked on console or not, but I've worked on console also, and I found it very interesting. And for on that, we were working on piezo electric cells for uh, generating electricity from the wheels, right? So that I worked, and I found it very interesting. So intelligence there, AI plays very a major role these days in automobile industry, and it is the future actually. It is the present also, but not much has been done as far as I know. Lot more can be done in automobile industry. We have a wide scope, but it depends actually. If you want to do, it's fine. Otherwise, you have the tools to do the things for you. And if you want to do something innovative, then definitely you have the codings, which you can do. But I'll be telling you from the basics to the higher up, right? So you have to build, and now come back to composition of intelligence. So what is intelligence composed of? Interesting, right? The first thing is your perception. So if I go wrong, please let me know. Perception is okay. And I can paste it also. Now, what is perception? Perception is actually learning from touch, hearing. We have the five senses we know. Okay? The sight, eyes, ears, then touching, taste, smell. These are the five senses we have. So using these five senses we learn. But how we are going to make my computer learn from that is interesting. But because perception is actually the collection, interpretation, selection, and organization of sensory data. So it comes back to the data, right? So what I have to do is I have to feed the data in my system. But in AI, what I have already fed, it is working. It worked on that, and it has developed some intelligence on that. But what it can do is it actually can collect the data, right? Real data can be collected, right? And how it can be collected. Now, my suppose if I talk about robo is the machine. It doesn't have a sensory organ there, but definitely we can have the sensors, right? And we can put the sensors there, like we have in BMW, we have the sensors. We have Volvo, we have the sensors. Body sensors are there. These days, almost every car is having a sensor. So it tells you if something is behind the car. It tells you, or a vehicle, any vehicle, it can be any vehicle, and it tells you, okay, okay, fine, this is there. So the sensors are there, but that is one way one way. It is just hitting something and giving you the results. But I want that data to be there with me, so I have to store the data. So that again, the sensors can be there, and you can store the data. Okay. Now, from vision, we have definitely we can see, my robot can see, my computer can see, and I can store the data from that also. Now, touching, definitely we have the sensor, you can touch. Hearing, yes, definitely my system can hear. Audio inputs are there, but as far as taste is concerned, nothing much has been done here. So I'm not sure about this, but I'll have to little research on the taste part, because I've worked on almost everything, but not the taste. Right? Smell, yes, it can smell. Definitely, it can smell. It can, because that is the input it is getting. But touching is, it's not eating anything. Your system, your robots are not eating. So tasting is something which is a little challenging, and I haven't done that. So I'm not sure about it, but definitely it can be done. Nothing is impossible. It can be done. Right? So perception, that is one of the composition of intelligence. But there is no, it is not sequential. Okay, whatever I'm telling you is not sequential, that it has to go one after the other. It is just randomly I'm choosing. Then we have learning. Have to keep saving controllers, so it actually saves automatically. The note is saved automatically. Why I use collab? Because there's automatic changes, and it goes to my drive, it goes to my cloud storage, so I don't have to worry about my system. Even if it crashes, like the day, the first day, it just went blank. Teams went blank. My system was working perfectly fine, so there was no issue with the system. But Teams has somehow crashed, and but my data was already there. My data won't go anywhere. So I use always cloud. So I can save my data. You guys can also use cloud and store your data there instead of on your system. That's it. These days, nobody actually stores in the system. It's always your cloud. That is something you can do. Now, learning. We all human beings, animals, and AI based systems have the ability to learn. Learning, like a human being, definitely you know that we learn. From the day we are born, we learn. We keep on learning, keep on learning, keep on learning till we die. We still learn. Not after death, definitely. Who knows? After death, we are learning or not? Maybe. But as long as the person is alive, the person is learning. Now, animals, some of the animals, almost all the animals actually, they learn, right? Now, may not be human actions, like dogs can, cats can, elephants can, tigers can, right? Your pet things can learn from the human action. We teach them, we tell them to sit down, they sit down. So we have a learning ability. Now, my system has a learning ability. Now, how it learns? It learns from the data it has. One thing, right? For this, I just gave you an example of prosthetic leg. It learns from the movement of my right leg. It trains, and then it tells me on the left how it is to be moved. I've already put some data in that. Okay, but when in the real life it moves, it has to be designed in such a way that it should be able to manipulate, it should be able to change and adapt to the situation. Like, sorry, suppose a person walks very fast. With a prosthetic leg, one can definitely walk fast, but the strides which this person takes would be different from a person who walks normally, slowly. So it may vary. So my system has to learn, and how it will learn, the data it will collect, on the fly. When I say on the fly, it means in real time. So the data it collects on the fly, that data will help my system to understand what is happening. So it is helping my system to learn. Okay, so it can learn, and it can uh, learn from the mistakes also. We have the losses also. So it can learn from the mistakes also. What mistakes it does, it may learn from there, and it will not try to repeat the mistake again. Like human being, like animals may repeat, but humans don't repeat the mistakes normally. But those who are used to the evil, computer won't. That is the advantage. So it can get from any sensory organ. Like we have the perception, so any sensory organ, and it will be able to learn from there, collect the data. It is all data basically. So whether it is image, audio, video, whatever it is, it will collect the data, and then it will learn on that. Right? Now, the other one is reasoning. Okay, we are very good at it. We reason out everything. But interestingly, there are few things we have to understand. Your reasoning can be inductive or deductive. Inductive actually is your assumption, you're assuming things, right? And if you say that the parents are intelligent, you assume that the child may be intelligent or would be intelligent. But that is your assumption, that is your induction. So inductive reasoning could be inductive or deductive, right? Learning also has a lot of things, like I told you. Learning can be from audio, video, whatever. Same way, reasoning can be inductive or deductive. Deductive is more on logical reasoning. This person has done this, so it is expected the person is intelligent or not, right? Or what type of person can be. So it is more logical, right? So deductive would be more logical. Now, why I need this? Because I have to make my system intelligent. So my system, if it is inductive, it may not give me a very good results. But if it is deductive, more on logic, more on reasoning, it will be able to give me better results. More logical, the better. Okay. And then we have linguistic. Linguistic I've already taken earlier also. Okay. So linguist is actually here is communication, more on interpersonal or intrapersonal communication. That is what linguistics is all about. So it is your capacity or capability, and how you utilize and how you comprehend, communicate, or write. You can it may be oral or it may be written anywhere. Can be anywhere. So my system is able to do this or not. Again, that is it depends. Now I can tell you one thing interesting. When I we have in NLP, natural language processing, we have a tool model called BERT, BERT. This is an intelligent tool which is designed already, module which is already there, and it has many sub modules in that, around 50, 60, or maybe more. 50 to I have seen, so it may be more. So there are many things in there. Now, when I say linguistics, because it is all natural language processing type AI here, and it is actually transformers. It is above machine learning, above deep learning. We have transformers where we have the decoders and the encoders and the decoders. Will come to that. I'll give you an introduction, although it is not in the course, but I'll give you an introduction, and we'll have enough time to do that also to tell you, because this is very interesting. If I put a word, if I put a sentence, I miss a word, my system can tell me the missing word. If I put a sentence, it will give you the related sentences with it, or it will complete the sentence. If I want a paragraph, if you just write one line, just suppose you want to write an essay on something, and you put the topic, and you say, okay, fine, my system, please find these things for me, something related with this topic. It will return the entire paragraph for you, or the number of words you want to find out. It is the more the number of words, more time it is going to take, but it is definitely going to find out. And I have worked on it, and it's very simple tool. Nothing, just what, three, four, 4 or 5 lines of code. That's all, and it'll fetch what you want. Right? So easy, and there will be no plug. Also, I can tell you. So you can find the missing word, you can find the sentences, you can find the missing sentences. So linguistics AI has already done a lot, nothing much for you to do, but then definitely there is always a scope. You will be wondering why you would be needing in mechanical engineering linguistics. It is required everywhere. Linguistic is something which is required everywhere, because when you are having an intelligent machine, when you tell your system, your computer, sorry, your car, to manage the temperature of the car, so you are actually giving a voice command which is converted into a text, so it has to understand it. Okay, so we have intelligent machines which are taking the commands from the driver or the passenger or whoever has whose voice is trained for the system to understand, right? And interestingly, these days we are working on cocktail party type of a situation where more than one voice at a time is given, and even if there is a noise like a party like situation, it will be able to understand what the speaker is trying to say. So we have I have 2 research papers on that, and we are able to do that also. So not a big deal, it can be done, but you have to understand the working behind that. But it is interesting. So it has to understand linguistics. So even if it is a noisy situation in a car, although it is not, but suppose you are playing a music, right? And you want to give a command, and if it is loud music, the system may not be able to understand the command fully. So this is where it comes into handy. And plus, more than one voice, a lot of people are speaking in the vehicle, and music is also playing. So linguistics has to be understood, right? So it is required. So whatever is there, it is required. Problem solving, we are all good at it. We solve the problem of every friend every day, right? We do it every day. So how the computer is going to solve the problem, that is interesting. Okay, so we say in AI, suppose you want an output Y and you have a situation X. So you have to design a system, a function where function X gives me output Y. That is what AI is all about, right? Something like, I'll put it here, Y is output is equal to fx. This is all AI is all about. But this f is a big thing. It's not just a function. It is AI thing. That means if I want a particular output from an input x, I have to design it such a way, function in such a way that it gives me output y. Okay, so You can design it like this. So problem solving, you have to solve the problem from the current circumstance. What the current circumstances? What is the path that is following? What is hindering it? What it is not? Why it is not able to work? Like I will tell you a very good example we have. We have the robo vacuum cleaners these days. You must have seen a small device running around the house, cleaning the house, and without hitting anything. If it finds something, it just moves around, right? So it can detect. We have the sensor definitely there. The sensors are there, and you can move back the system, right? But that if something else is there which it is not programmed for, then it has to solve that issue also. So solving the issue on the fly, on the real time, you have to take the decision. So decision making capability which human have, that is to be there with your AI machine also, right? So that then only you can have a proper AI machine. So let's go back a little bit. Let me click here first. Okay. So composition of intelligence, we have perception, learning, and 1 minute. This has, I have to put in the linguistic problem solving, everything is there. Okay. It will just go inside everything. So perception, learning, reasoning, linguistic, then problem solving are the things we associate with intelligence. Yeah, it has to be done. मेरे system को, my system has to do all these things. Although we have the tools to do it, and we'll be doing through the tools only, but we have the things, right? Mm. Now, just a small introduction of how to measure uh, uh, AI machine is behaving like a human. AI machine, I'm telling you, okay, AI, artificial intelligence, is behaving like human, or like how will you say it is equal to HI. AI and HI. HI is human intelligence, AI is artificial intelligence. So whenever I use HI, you just have to think that it is human intelligence. HI is human intelligence. Okay. Now we have different tests for this, and we have an image. I'll just try to see if I can put it there. It, it will come. It gives me a code. We can see that it is all coded. Image is nothing but a matrix. Let me see if it has come. Yes, it has come. I've copied it. Okay, so it's not done by me. It is just a copy. The test of human likeness or intelligence is there are four things we have: Turing test, the rational agent approach, the cognitive modeling, the law of thought approach. Right? So we have different things here. Let's see. It's more boring, but anyway, it is interesting also. Okay. Now, the Turing test is of AI. It should be able to hold conversation with a human agent. Uh, software in software engineering, we have agents. human agents, negotiations, we have negotiations and all. So system can negotiate on behalf of the other person, right? So it is an intelligent entity where it should be able to, AI entity should be able to hold conversation with a human agent, and that is more of a software engineering actually part, and we do it regularly. And the text, I don't want this, I'll just remove it. I'll just give you a small introduction. It's not a big thing required, because uh, then we have a lot of other things also. Then we have the rational agent approach. Interestingly, these agents are designed, the tools are there in Java, where negotiations and all can be done, but we have to design the agents. And normally, what people do to implement this is they create the agent, they use the systems. They would put us 25 systems, and they make them as agents, and they negotiate with each other over a price, and we will give you the best quote. That is what the bidding process is, and that is what the agents are all about, right? So agents in computer terms, they are computers basically, negotiated. They can negotiate on your behalf. If you want complete thing to be done by them, they can do it completely for you, or part of it, they can be part of it also. The agents we have, so we have tools developed in Java, where you can do it. But recently, for a UK student, I was doing that, so I know how it works. Okay, okay, let me put it now. One, give me I have to put now for the rational approach. What is a rational agent? We have agents, right? So whenever I say agent, just think that it is a computer. Let me put it over. Yeah. So rational agent is one who would try to get the best output for you. Just I said, suppose I want to buy a laptop, and I want my systems to negotiate for me. So what it is going to do is it is going to search on the net, and then we have other systems working, and it will negotiate, and this rational approach will get me the best output, the best result, or the best price for the laptop across the world, maybe, or in the country itself. So that is a rational agent approach. The idea is to get you the best possible results, or the you can say the price. In case of a laptop, it is a price. Okay. Now comes your approach, that is your cognitive is there. Cognitive intelligence is very interesting actually, and one of my favorite also is already there. So the real intelligence, when we say, is actually the cognitive intelligence. It can actually introspect psychological experiments it can conduct, and brain imaging it can do. And that is what makes it actually more close to HI. Okay. So it is more closer to HI. Okay, where it is, there's one more. Yes, here it is. Human cognition, based on human cognition, it actually develops a model. Three approaches are there: introspection, psychological experiments, and brain imaging. Now, when I say cognitive intelligence, why it is so interesting? Because it actually is very, very close to human intelligence. It is able to reason out, it can learn actually from the mistakes, it can correct the mistakes, and it can design the system more like a human system. So it is learning from the real life situations, or learning on the fly, you can say. So AI is supposed to do that, and that is where comes your stages, where we have the machine learning, deep learning, transformers, and cognitive intelligence. Right. So stage by stage we grow, and stage by stage we develop things, and this is how it works. So we have different approaches here, and there's one more, that is law of thought approach. Law of it is interesting when you actually, it may look boring for now, but when we apply this similar things, you will be able to understand why it is required. Those who are doing software engineering, actually they can easily understand, but I don't see any one of you into software engineering. You're all mechanical people, so you'll have to correlate with the machines, how they are going to behave. So these are a set of logical assertions how our mind works. It is all about the mind mapping, you can say, how our mind works. So that is law of thought approach. Okay. Uh, mm, the AI algorithms are all mathematical or statistical algorithms, and what we get is always an assumption, right? So more or less, we are using linear algebra there, linear algorithms we are using. But when you want it to map with a human being, lot more things have to go, and that is where all these things count. Law of thought, that is human intelligence is very close to it. Okay, how a person thinks, how the person reacts. So thought process, how the thought process starts, how a person is thinking is how my system would think. That is how we have to design the system rather, so that it can think like a human being. Now, how we are going to do that is again through the learning process only. That is learning from mistakes, learning from experience, learning from observation. You have to learn, and in all that case, if I correlate with my system, my computer, so the data it is getting in real time, it has to learn from there. So it is all about data only. So in computer, in coding, what we have? We have the logic, we have the syntax, and the data. That is all we have. Nothing else, right? So in AI also, if I talk about AI, artificial intelligence, again, We have the data and we have the code. Nothing more than that, right? And when we say we have to write a program, actually, if you see a little bit about yourself, your daily routine, what you do, you program every day. We are doing coding, not coding, but we are programming every day. We program for the class, we program for our outings, we program for movies, we program to go out. It is all programming. That is planning, right? We are programming. The things may not be computerized, but logically we are doing everything, right? Like if I have to go to some place, let's say you're in Pune, if you want to go to Goa, what you have to do? You have set of steps you follow. First, you have to find the place where you would like to stay. Then you would like to book the place. Then you would like to book the tickets, or you may go by road also. Or and then what do you need? You need your luggage, your clothes, your money, and then you have to travel there. That is what programming is all about. This is what you have to do. That is what we are doing in programming. So it is not a big deal. We do it every day. All you have to do is whatever you are doing, you have to put it in the codes step by step. It is always step by step. That is important. Steps are important. Sequence is important in your programming, right? So different approaches we have. So as I said, machine learning in AI, we have machine learning, deep learning, then we have neural network, natural language processing, computer vision, cognitive computing. That is what it is all about. Then we have types also. We have artificial narrow intelligence, and then we have artificial general intelligence, then we have artificial super intelligence, and so on. And I can put an image. This is an interesting image I have. So I can put an image. Uh, Types of AI, and I can put this image here. It's better to have a visual effect actually. Visually, if you do something, that will be better. Okay, now artificial narrow intelligence, general intelligence, and super intelligence. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Stage 1 machine learning. Okay, space, and then we have machine intelligence, and then machine consciousness. These are the three stages we have with AI, right? And I can put the details also, so not a big deal. I'll put ANI. Oh, okay, someone joined very late, but it's okay. You're welcome in my class anytime, but don't miss the video lectures. So, but your attendance has to go, so be careful about that. Okay. Okay. Theoretical part. I'm just putting some theoretical parts. I'm just getting it from my notes. 1 minute. So your ANI, it is the most common of that, most popular also. It is specific to the problem solving, and just put it in the workbook I have. Yeah, there you are. Actually, I want to just wind up with the theoretical part. Just doing that. Okay, so most popular in the market of AI is ANI, and it is specific to the task, specific to the problem. Okay, and these type of machines can mimic and some cases outperform human performance also. They try to do that, and yes, definitely there are situations, there are things which machines can do better than the human intelligence, because they don't have the emotions, they have the data with them, and they use the mathematical modeling, and they to solve the problems. But we definitely use it, but not thoroughly. But these machines, these algorithms are designed by human beings only, so we have to keep in mind that human intelligence still better than the artificial intelligence, but the results given by a system can be better. Like suppose if I have to classify some images, like if I have more than 1,000 images, and I want to classify it, my human brain would take little time, but a system would do it faster. But it all depends on the system also, capability of the system also, how fast your system is. So it all depends on that. Okay. Yeah, anyway, just artificial general intelligence. So we will put something for this also. These will be handy for you for the notes and all. Okay. It is still under development though, but it will soon catch up. Neural activity is more on the neurons, neural activity, and we are working on it. Uh, and we have now do few more things before we can actually say, okay, we are ready for it. But it is done. Okay, so development, it is under developments, and human level of cognitive function, it is able to discipline itself to the level of human intelligence, and map it on that, so it can work better, or in some cases similar to human brain. Okay, so there is an example given there, so you can prove that. And then we have the last one, that is called ASI. It was already listed there, not done by me, it was there, so I had copied. I'll put the source, I normally do, source of the image, so that I don't have to worry about the copyright and all. I'll put the source also. Okay, this AGI, artificial super intelligence, we are actually entering it now. It's not done yet. We are in the process of entering, and there are things to be done. Like we have from AGI to ASI, we have to come to this. So AGI, we have done things. It's not that it has not been done, and it does things very fast. But from AGI to ASI, Still things have to be done in AGI. In ASI, we have the fiction territory. Actually, this is the fiction territory. The fictions, you have to create the fictions and all. So this is something which has to be done, right? We still have things to do. So we are entering into this age or era where it can actually work exactly like human being, like we have the humanoids and all, and then we have the virtual reality things combined with the AI. So everything has to be done, and this is something which we are still working on, and it is going to be done soon. So it doesn't take much time these days. Development happens very fast. Even when I am speaking, someone must be working on it. So that is what we have to see. Now, as I told you, AI all depends on the data, right? Whatever data we have, it depends on that. And if we are not able to feed or give the correct data, the output will be disastrous. Like I told you, it is on ego, garbage in, garbage out. So if you feed garbage, so it will take garbage only. Okay, so it will not be able to work properly if your data is not properly arranged. So at end of the day, everything comes to actually the data. The better data you have, the better performance you will have. And if the data is not good, then you will have issues. So what you have to do is actually arrange the data, manage the data, and then you have to give it to your system so that it can actually understand it better, right? So this is what we have to do, and I'll be sharing this uh, collab book with you. I'll share it on the GitHub repository. I'll put it in the message, and you can get the link from there, and you can actually go through it. It's more theoretical, so it will be more on the theoretical part, but it is more on understanding what AI is. So it has huge things actually. A lot of things can be covered, but I have to relate it with with my coding. So anyway, we'll be coding and then coming to the theory part. Then coding will be more than the theory. So theory is something I can actually put and then explain a bit, and then you can go through it. It is normally understood if you can understand. Otherwise, whatever issues you have, you can always put a message to me, and I'll explain it to you. Whatever issues you have in the understanding the coding or even the theory part, right? So I'll be putting that, and I'll be reverting to you whenever you have an issue. You can just simply message me. You can drop a message and I'll revert as soon as I am free, because I have some research work already going on, some research papers I'm working on, some students I'm working with. So everything is going on, but still I'll get the time to revert. So you don't have to worry about that. And also you have to tell me if you are able to understand or not. If you're not, then I can go down to other levels, go down to the levels, or go up or increase the level as per your choice, right? End of the day, you have to understand everything, right? I can stop this recording because it's not required now. Recording is not required. I'm just talking. Can I stop it? I cannot stop it. No, I can stop it. Yes. Yes.